What if I told you? There are a few sentences, simple, honest, and direct, that when said at the right time, can leave a woman thinking about you long after the conversation ends. I'm not talking about pickup lines. This isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding one thing most men ignore. Women don't remember what you say. They remember how you made them feel. And when you know how to say the right words, with the right tone, with calm confidence, you create a moment she won't forget. See, most guys try to impress women by listing their achievements, talking non-stop, or proving how alpha they are. But a man who knows how to say less, mean more, and speak directly to a woman's emotional core, that man doesn't chase, he draws her in effortlessly. This video is for that man, or the man ready to become him. So if you've ever found yourself wondering, why do I keep getting zoned? Why do women lose interest even when I do everything right? Why do I feel like I'm saying a lot, but nothing sticks? You're in the right place, because today I'm going to walk you through 10 simple phrases that carry deep psychological weight rooted in calm masculine energy and stoic presence. Phrases that make her stop, feel, and lean in. But fair warning, this only works if you mean it. If you speak from your center, not your ego. So lean back, stay sharp, and take note, because once you know how to use these phrases the right way, no woman will forget the moment she heard them. Let's get into it. Phrase 1. You have a unique way about you. I like that. Let's talk about one of the most powerful things you can say to a woman, something that makes her pause, smile, and keep thinking about you long after she walks away. You have a unique way about you. I like that. It sounds simple, right? But don't let that fool you. This line works not because of what it says, but because of how it lands. And most men don't even realize why. See, women hear compliments all the time. You're beautiful. You look amazing in that dress. You're so sexy. It's tired, predictable. It goes in one ear and out the other. But when you say, you have a unique way about you, you're not complimenting what she is. You're pointing to something deeper, something she doesn't even know how to name. Her energy, her rhythm, the subtle things about her that make her different. And that gets remembered. Let me give you a real example. Keith, 54, works in logistics. Calm guy, 2 grown kids. Recently divorced after 22 years of marriage. He started seeing Evelyn, 49, a photographer. First date went smooth, coffee and a walk near the river. She was funny, relaxed, not trying too hard. But Keith didn't do what most guys would have. He didn't rush to compliment her looks or overshare his story. Instead, halfway through their second date, she said something about how she hated online dating. He paused, looked at her and said, "You know, you have a unique way about you. I like that." He didn't explain. He didn't follow it up with nervous laughter or try to sell himself. He just said it and let it hang. And Evelyn told him weeks later that moment stuck with her. Not because it was flashy, but because it felt like he saw something in her nobody else had noticed. That's what this line does. It creates space for mystery. It signals that you're not like the others, that you pay attention to the little things, the things that actually matter. And more importantly, it shifts the focus away from you trying to be impressive to her wondering what you see. It creates what psychologists call a cognitive loop. When someone hears a partial idea that doesn't fully resolve, the brain keeps working to complete it. So when you say, "You have a unique way about you," you're leaving a beautiful gap in the conversation and her mind starts trying to fill it. What did he mean by that? Was it the way I spoke? Did he notice how I responded? He saw something in me. But what? It drives curiosity, emotional investment, subconscious replay. But here's the key, you have to mean it. Don't say it just to say it. Find something real, something subtle, the way she chooses her words, the calm in her eyes, the rhythm in how she moves. You're not complimenting her performance, you're acknowledging her essence. There's a Stoic principle here worth remembering. The things that are most valuable are often invisible to the eye. And when you train yourself to see beneath the surface, beyond the obvious, you move different. You speak different. You connect on a level that most men never reach. Let's look at another scenario. Antonio, 46, owns a landscaping business, spent most of his life grinding, not big on small talk. On a first date with Justine, 47, he noticed she didn't interrupt once. She didn't try to impress. She simply listened with real presence. So he looked at her and said, "You have a stillness most people don't. I like that." It stopped her. She smiled, not because it was romantic, but because it was real. That's the effect. A woman hears that, and she's no longer in evaluation mode. She's intrigued, she leans in, and she starts wondering, who is this man? And that's where connection begins, not through effort, but through awareness. So next time you're with a woman who sparks something in you, don't go for the loud compliment, go for the one that whispers truth. You have a unique way about you. I like that. Say it with calm, with presence, with no need to explain. Because when said right, that one sentence, she won't forget it. If you've ever felt this shift in energy where a simple line changed the vibe completely, type, "I've seen this." Now stay with me, because in the next one, we're going to flip the frame and put her on the side that needs to prove something. Phrase 2. I like women who know what they want. This one flips the script, because most men spend all their time trying to prove they're good enough. They show off their job, their car, their plans, their ambitions. They walk into dates with the mindset of, I hope she picks me. But a man who says, I like women who know what they want, is doing something entirely different. He's not auditioning, he's observing. He's not trying to impress, he's watching how she shows up. This phrase works because it sends a clear message. You're not chasing, you're choosing. Let's unpack that. When you say, I like women who know what they want, you're not complimenting her. You're challenging her, subtly, smoothly, with calm energy. You're asking, are you grounded in who you are? Can you lead yourself, or are you waiting to be led? And most importantly, do you bring clarity, or do you bring chaos? This kind of line resets the dynamic instantly, because now she's the one wondering if she meets your standard. And for many women, especially the ones used to being chased, that hits different. Let me give you an example. James, 50, is a senior consultant, been single for 4 years after a difficult divorce. He recently met Carmen, 48, through a work event. She was outgoing, confident, dressed well. She joked a lot, but something felt scattered. They went out for drinks, and midway through the conversation, she started rambling about how dating is confusing these days, how men are too aggressive or too passive, how she doesn't know what she wants anymore. James didn't argue. He didn't try to fix her confusion. He just looked at her and said, I like women who know what they want. Then took a sip of his drink and said nothing else. Carmen fell silent, not offended, intrigued, because what he said wasn't an insult. It was a mirror, and it made her reflect, am I clear, or am I just floating? That's power. See, most men react to uncertainty by chasing harder, by over-explaining, by trying to prove they're worth it. But a grounded man knows uncertainty is not attractive, clarity is. And when you make it clear that you value direction, you value intention, you value a woman who moves with purpose, you position yourself differently. She stops seeing you as another guy trying to win her over. She starts wondering if she even qualifies. Stoicism teaches, if someone cannot tell you what they value, be careful what they cost you. And that applies to dating, especially at this stage in life. When you're in your 42nd, 52nd, maybe even 62nd, you don't have time for people who are still figuring out what love even means. You've built a life, you've made mistakes, you've learned what works and what doesn't. So when you meet a woman, it's not just about attraction anymore. It's about alignment. Do her values match yours? Does she know what kind of connection she wants, or is she just bored and curious? Here's another real situation. Victor, 57, owns a small chain of restaurants. No time for games. He went on a date with Elise, 51, an executive coach. Halfway through dinner, she mentioned she doesn't usually date masculine men because they feel too intense. Victor smiled and replied, "That's fair. I like women who know what they want." He didn't say it with pride or sarcasm. He said it calmly, casually, with presence. And Elise shifted. Her posture changed. Because she realized he wasn't going to bend to fit into her comfort zone. He was simply telling her where the bar is and letting her decide if she could reach it. And that's the secret. This phrase isn't just about setting a standard. It's about revealing yours without apology. Women respect a man who knows what he values, but they desire a man who stands in it, even when it costs him attention. So say it when it fits. Say it when she's unsure, or testing, or dancing around clarity. Say it without emotion, without pressure, just calmly. I like women who know what they want, and then let her decide if that's her or not. Because a man who walks with purpose only matches with a woman who does too. Now, in the next phrase, we're going to shift from clarity to connection. Because when you tell her exactly what you like most about her, it doesn't just touch her mind. It reaches something deeper. Let's go there. Phrase 3. That's what I like most about you. This line hits different because it doesn't just compliment, it connects. Most guys throw compliments around like confetti. You're gorgeous. You're so sweet. You're fun to be around. It's surface level stuff, easy to say, easy to forget. But when you look a woman in the eye and say, "That's what I like most about you," right after she does or says something meaningful, it changes the tone completely. Why? Because you're not commenting on how she looks. You're reflecting something deeper back to her, something about who she is. It's intimate without being sexual. It's powerful without being overbearing. And more importantly, it makes her feel seen. Let me show you how this works in real life. Greg, 52, is a private contractor, hands-on guy, no nonsense. He's been single since his late 42nd and recently went on a few dates with Vanessa, 47, a nurse. They were at a casual dinner, talking about travel, work, nothing too deep. Then she told a story about staying overnight at the hospital during a snowstorm just to make sure one of her elderly patients wouldn't be alone. She didn't say it to brag. It just came out naturally. Greg paused, looked at her, and simply said, "That's what I like most about you." She blinked, then smiled. Not the fake kind, the kind that hits when someone really sees who you are. Why did it work? Because Greg didn't say it out of nowhere. He waited, he listened. He picked a moment where her character showed, not her charm, not her body, not her performance. That's the move. You don't use this line as a trick. You use it to signal that you're present, that you notice what most people miss. And in a world full of men trying to impress women with their wallets, status, or lines, being fully present is the rarest flex of all. Now, let's flip the story. Dennis, 59, recently started dating again after losing his wife 5 years ago. He met Claudine, 55, at a community music event. She wasn't flashy, but there was a calm confidence to her. During their third date, she mentioned how she helped her daughter navigate a painful breakup without once telling her what to do. Instead, she just listened. Dennis, who's raised 2 daughters himself, looked at her and said, "That's what I like most about you. You don't try to control, you hold space." Claudine was stunned. She told him later no man had ever seen that side of her, and certainly no one had appreciated it. This phrase works because it's specific. It isolates one quality and holds it up like a mirror. It shows her that you're not just attracted, you're attentive. Now, here's something important. You have to mean it. This isn't about flattery. It's about recognition. Women, especially over 45, have been through life. They've been complimented, judged, ghosted, chased, ignored. What they crave now isn't validation, it's resonance. And when you tell her what you like most, and that most isn't her looks or her flirting skills, but something subtle, real, and grounded, you stand out, big time. There's also a Stoic thread in this. Don't waste your admiration on the surface. Observe a person's character. A man who admires character will always have more impact than a man who flatters beauty, because beauty fades. But the way she shows up when no one's watching, that's the good stuff. That's what makes her unforgettable. So next time you're with a woman who reveals something deeper, hear resilience, hear empathy, hear consistency, hear humor under pressure, look her in the eye and say, "That's what I like most about you." Then stop talking. Let the silence do the rest. Because when you hit that chord, it echoes. If you've ever been in that moment where a woman opened up and you saw her for more than just her smile type, I felt that. Oh, next up, we'll shift gears, because sometimes flipping the dynamic is what creates the real spark. And when you say, "I don't know if you can handle me," the game changes. Let's break that down. Phrase 4, "I don't know if you can handle me." This phrase isn't cocky, it's calibrated. Because when you say, "I don't know if you can handle me," you're not making a threat. You're not being arrogant. You're introducing uncertainty, the kind that hooks deeper than compliments ever will. See, most men try to prove they're safe, predictable, reliable. They go out of their way to show they're low maintenance, easygoing, not too much. And what does that get them? Respect maybe, but attraction, not always. Because here's the truth, women aren't drawn to men they fully understand. They're drawn to men who carry a hint of mystery, not in a manipulative way, but in a grounded, masculine, I know who I am kind of way. That's what this line does. It suggests depth, it suggests edge, and it invites her to wonder, wait, what does he mean? Let me give you a real-world example. Martin, 48, is a corporate trainer, level-headed guy, divorced once, no kids. He started dating Clara, 46, a high-level marketing exec, smart, assertive, used to leading the room. On their third date, she jokingly said, "I usually intimidate guys like you." Martin looked at her, smiled and replied, "I don't know if you can handle me." No smirk, no sarcasm, just calm, steady delivery. Then he went back to sipping his coffee. Clara froze for a beat, then laughed, but it wasn't mockery. It was intrigue, because in that moment, Martin flipped the dynamic. He wasn't trying to win her over. He wasn't proving himself. He was planting a seed. You think you're the one testing me, but maybe, just maybe, it's the other way around. That kind of shift is powerful, especially for women who are used to men bending, pleasing, over-explaining. When you drop this line, you're signaling, I'm not here to be easy. I'm here to be real. I've lived. I've been through storms. I have edges. And you don't just get me, you earn your way in. That's sexy. Not just to younger women, but especially to women over 45, who've seen enough to recognize authentic strength when it shows up. Now, let's be clear. This line only works when it's backed by truth. If your life is in chaos, if you're emotionally unstable, if you're using "I'm hard to handle" as a way to avoid accountability, it won't land. It'll just sound immature. But if you're a man who's grounded in his boundaries, who lives by his values, who's done the work and knows his complexity is a feature, not a flaw, then yeah, you're not for everyone, and you shouldn't be. Let's flip the lens. Eugene, 56, runs a construction company, blue collar through and through, grew up hard, worked harder. He started seeing Denise, 52, a psychologist, soft-spoken but sharp. They were having wine at his place, and she commented on how emotionally intense he was, like it was a flaw. Eugene smiled and said, "I don't know if you can handle me. Most people can't." Then he got up, put on another record, and changed the subject. Now Denise, she wasn't offended. She was fascinated, because Eugene didn't defend himself. He didn't soften his roughness. He owned it. With calm, with clarity, with zero apology. And that's what women remember, not the bravado, but the balance. The Stoics would call this the art of self-containment. Not shrinking yourself to fit someone else's comfort zone. You're not a project to be managed. You're a man with gravity, with history, with momentum. And if she's going to be in your life, she's got to bring more than good looks and good vibes. She's got to bring capacity. So next time you feel that moment where she tries to test you, or tame you, or make you prove yourself, don't flinch. Look her in the eye and say it. "I don't know if you can handle me." Then let her sit with that. Because when said from the right place, it's not arrogance. It's a quiet warning. This is not fast food. This is a full course experience. And not everyone has the stomach for it. If you've ever felt like you were the one bringing the intensity, the honesty, the fire, and she wasn't ready type, I've seen that. Coming up next, we take the mask off and flip the game again. Because "I'm not that easy" does more than just tease. It resets everything. Phrase 5. I'm not that easy. Here's the truth. Most men don't realize how fast they give themselves away. The moment a woman shows interest, even a little flirt, a little smile, they lean in. Emotionally, mentally, physically. They're in. No questions asked. But what happens when you say, calmly and confidently, "I'm not that easy"? You reverse the energy. You introduce a challenge. You show that you have standards and you're not just here to be picked. You're here to choose. And trust me, that changes everything. Now, before you think this phrase is about playing hard to get, it's not. This is about being a man of value. A man who isn't desperate for attention. A man who has options and isn't afraid to walk away when something doesn't feel aligned. Let me give you a real-life example. Howard, 55, is a financial planner. Solid career, no kids, divorced 7 years ago. He recently went on a few dates with Simone, 50, a yoga instructor. Gorgeous, charming, full of life. By the third date, she started getting playful, hinting that she could probably wrap him around her finger. Howard smiled, leaned back and said, "Maybe, but I'm not that easy." Then he sipped his drink and changed the subject. No smirk, just calm certainty, and the vibe shifted. Because now, it wasn't about whether he liked her. It became about whether she could match him. This line tells her, you're not desperate, you're not chasing, you're not here to prove anything. You're not that easy because you've lived too much, seen too much, and respect yourself too much to give your time, energy, or attention to someone who hasn't earned it. It's not about playing games. It's about emotional boundaries. And that's rare. Women are used to being the ones who get chased, complimented, flattered, pleased. But when you flip that and say, "I'm not that easy," you tell her, "I'm not impressed by beauty alone. I'm not excited just because you're here. Len, if you want access to me, you've got to show me something real." That's where the power is. Now, let's look at a different story. Franklin, 49, runs a home renovation company. Salt of the earth guy. Straightforward, not flashy. He met Linda, 47, a high-energy real estate agent. She made a lot of jokes, liked attention, and often tested his reactions. One night after dinner, she leaned in and said, "You're trouble, I can tell." 9. Franklin raised an eyebrow and replied, "You think I'm trouble? I'm not even sure you could keep up, and just so you know, I'm not that easy." Then he stood up, got the check, and told her he had an early morning. That was it. He wasn't being rude. He was being clear. And that night, Linda texted him first. Because that's what happens when a man doesn't fold at the first sign of flirtation. He stands out. Now here's what's key. This line only works when you mean it. It has to come from a place of self-respect, not defensiveness, not sarcasm, not bitterness. You're not punishing her for being attractive. You're just letting her know you don't give yourself away lightly. And when said with calm, masculine presence, it becomes magnetic. There's a Stoic flavor here too. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Let not your mind be captive to impressions. Don't be ruled by beauty or charm or sweet words. Be grounded, be centered, be selective, and when you are, she'll feel it." Because real men don't need to chase attention. They attract it by knowing what they're worth. So next time a woman comes on strong, or even just playfully tests the waters, don't lean in too fast. Pause. Smile. Say, "I'm not that easy." Then let it hang. Because that silence, it says more than any long speech ever could. And if you've ever had a moment where you pulled back and she leaned in harder type, I've seen that work. Up next, we turn the spotlight. Because what happens when you ask the one question that flips the power in a single sentence? It's time for, what do you look for in a man? Let's unpack that. Phrase 6. You're not like most women, and that's dangerous. This one's a double-edged blade. Smooth, but sharp. Simple, but electric. When you look her in the eye and say, "You're not like most women, and that's dangerous," you're giving her a compliment. She's never heard phrased that way before. But more than that, you're telling her, "I see you, I feel your presence, and I'm not pretending this is ordinary." That line cuts through the noise. Here's the thing, every woman over 45 has heard it all. "Wow, you're beautiful. You're so different." "No, you're such a catch." But when you say she's dangerous, not in a reckless way, but in a way that stirs your senses, you create charge. You tell her she's not just not like most women, she's the kind of woman who could change something in you. And that's what makes the line work. Let me show you how. Gerald, 58, is a retired Marine turned private security advisor. Calm, self-controlled, not easily impressed. He met Anita, 54, a gallery curator, during a fundraising event. Elegant, poised, and incredibly sharp-witted. On their second dinner together, Anita challenged him on his views about legacy, not aggressively, but with depth. She had range. She wasn't just agreeing with everything he said. She pushed back. Gerald smiled, leaned in slightly, and said, "You're not like most women, and that's dangerous." Then he held her gaze, said nothing else. That moment changed the whole tone of the evening, because he wasn't flattering her looks. He was acknowledging her intellect, her presence, her effect on him. And women feel that deeply. Here's why it works. That word dangerous doesn't mean she's a threat. It means she stirs something powerful. She breaks the pattern. You're telling her, "You move different, you think different, and that affects me." That's what makes it flirtatious and respectful at the same time. Another example. Paul, 51, is a high-level consultant, very analytical, usually guarded in relationships. He met Rosa, 49, a literature professor, on a train trip. They started talking about favorite authors, Kafka, Baldwin, Dostoevsky. Her take on existentialism stunned him. At the cafe car, over a glass of red, she made a point that hit him in the gut. He just shook his head and said, "You're not like most women, and that's dangerous." She lit up, not because he said something romantic, but because he noticed something deeper in her. And that's the Stoic lesson here too. Epictetus once said, "Know the difference between what impresses the crowd and what stirs your soul." This phrase isn't about the crowd. It's not loud. It's not showy. It's personal, grounded, masculine. So when you say it, mean it. Don't use it as a trick. use it as a reflection, and only say it when she shows you something real. Because the right woman over 45 isn't looking for shallow flattery. She's looking for a man who sees past her exterior and isn't afraid to say so. Say it when it's real. Then, lean back and let her wonder what else you see. Phrase 7. You're making it hard to stay focused. There's something electric about this line. It's not a compliment. It's a confession. Delivered the right way, it cuts through the noise. Because you're not just saying she's attractive. You're admitting, without losing your cool, that she's distracting you in a good way. It's direct. It's playful. And when said from a place of calm masculine presence, it drives her wild. But here's the key. It works because you're in control. You're not stumbling over your words. You're not drooling. You're not being needy. You're centered. And in the middle of that control, you offer a spark of honesty. Let's put that into context. Kevin, 53, runs a boutique real estate firm. Always sharp, always composed. He started dating Dana, 49, a financial analyst, elegant, intelligent, with a slow burn kind of magnetism. They were at a wine tasting. Dana leaned in to describe one of the red blends, her voice low, her eye contact steady. Kevin was nodding, absorbing it all, but inside, his focus was fraying. He looked at her and said, "You're making it hard to stay focused," then smiled, took a sip, let the moment breathe. She didn't laugh it off. She didn't make a joke. She paused, held his gaze back, because the line wasn't cheesy. It was honest, in rhythm, in context, and more importantly, it was delivered with restraint. That's what makes this phrase powerful. You're telling her, "I'm here, I'm grounded, but you're messing with my center." And that's intoxicating, because women over 45, especially the confident, self-aware ones, don't want to be adored like princesses. They want to be felt as a presence. They want to know their energy can shift the space. When you say, "You're making it hard to stay focused," you're acknowledging that. Let me give you another example. Russell, 57, is a fitness coach. Disciplined, straight-talking. He met Lorraine, 55, at a weekend leadership workshop. She had this quiet, intense aura about her. Very intentional. During a breakout session, Lorraine began walking through her leadership framework. Russell was following, but her voice, her passion, her command, it got to him. At one point, he leaned over and whispered, "You're making it really hard to stay focused right now." Lorraine smirked, but you could see it hit, because he didn't interrupt. He didn't derail. He simply named the charge between them. That's the move. It's subtle, but it shifts things. Stoically speaking, this is about acknowledging tension without being ruled by it. You observe the effect she has. You call it out, but you remain grounded. And that's what makes you unforgettable. So next time you feel it, whether it's her laugh, the way she looks at you, the way she carries herself, don't overplay it. Just pause, lower your voice, and say, "You're making it hard to stay focused." Then shift right back into the conversation like nothing happened. Because sometimes the strongest pull comes from the calmest man. Phrase 8. I usually don't open up this fast. This phrase carries a different kind of weight. It's not about seduction. It's about vulnerability with control. When a man says, "I usually don't open up this fast," what he's really saying is, "This is real. I don't give this to everyone." And that hits different, especially for a woman who's been through relationships, life experience, maybe even heartbreak. Because she's not just looking for charm, she's watching for authenticity. Let's be honest, most men over 45 have built emotional armor. We've learned how to keep it cool, measured, strategic. We protect our stories. We move with caution. So when you let your guard down just a little and acknowledge that with this phrase, it creates trust. It tells her, "You didn't have to pull this out of me. It came naturally with you." That changes the game. Let me give you an example. Malcolm, 52, is a physician, brilliant but emotionally reserved. He was out to dinner with Teresa, 48, a high school principal. They'd been talking about family, and he found himself opening up about how his divorce shifted his priorities. Halfway through, he paused and said, "You know, I usually don't open up this fast." And Teresa just looked at him with a kind of softness because she knew it wasn't for show. It wasn't a tactic, it was truth. This phrase isn't about oversharing. It's not about trauma dumping. It's a quiet signal that the connection is genuine. It creates emotional intimacy without being heavy. It lets her feel special not because you're saying she is, but because you're showing that something in her brought this out of you. Here's the thing. Men who speak like this, with emotional honesty and restraint, stand out because it shows strength, it shows self-awareness, and it shows that you're not afraid to feel, but you choose carefully when and with whom. Another story for you. Derek, 59, a former Navy officer, now runs a leadership consultancy, straight-laced, logical, rarely emotional. He met Nadine, 55, a widowed artist, at a community workshop. They got coffee, then another. During their fourth meetup, while talking about travel, Derek began describing how his time in Japan after the service changed how he sees stillness. It wasn't dramatic, but it was clearly meaningful. He stopped mid-sentence and said, "I don't usually open up this fast." Nadine didn't interrupt. She leaned back and said, "Maybe it's not fast. Maybe it's just the right time." And that moment shifted everything between them, because men like Derek don't talk like that often. So when they do, it matters. There's a Stoic undertone here too. Seneca wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Opening up isn't weakness. It's proof of strength when it's intentional. So next time you feel a conversation digging deeper, and you hear yourself say something you didn't plan to share, pause it and say, "I usually don't open up this fast." Then leave it there. Let her sit with what that really means. Because that kind of honesty, it's unforgettable. Phrase 9. There's something in your energy I haven't felt in a long time. This phrase hits different because it's not about what she looks like. It's not even about what she says. It's about what she radiates. And when a man over 45 says this, it carries real weight. Because by that age, he's seen enough, lived enough, and doesn't get shaken easily. So when you say, "There's something in your energy I haven't felt in a long time," you're telling her she's sparked something deeper, not just attraction, but remembrance. It's nostalgia, emotion, pull, and for a woman who's been through life, that's a powerful acknowledgement. Take Marvin, 56, an engineer with a calm, structured mindset. He started spending time with Camille, 52, a music teacher. Camille wasn't flashy, she was warm, intuitive, and always made people around her feel at ease. One evening, after a quiet walk in the park, Marvin turned to her and said, "There's something in your energy I haven't felt in a long time." He didn't explain it. He didn't overplay it. He just let the silence do the rest. Camille's reaction, she softened immediately. Because what he gave her wasn't just praise. It was recognition. She felt seen not just for how she looked, but for the peace, the spark, the presence she brought into the space. This line works because it's emotionally intelligent. It's not needy. It's not slick. It's a reflection of a man who's connected to himself enough to sense when someone affects him, and confident enough to say it. Let's look at another story. Edwin, 50, owns a landscaping company. Grounded, no games. He met Julia, 49, through mutual friends. From the first dinner, he felt something subtle in the way she listened, how fully present she was. Not common these days. He told her, "I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's something in your energy I haven't felt in a long time." And she smiled, because deep down, she felt it too. But no one had ever said it out loud. That's the beauty of this line. It makes the unspoken feel real. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you say this phrase, you're acknowledging that her energy is coloring your world, even if just for a moment. And in a world of shallow compliments, that kind of depth stands out. Say it when it's true, and let her lean into the mystery. Phrase 10. I wasn't planning to feel this way tonight. There's a reason this line lands so deeply. It's the unexpected honesty. Not dramatic, not disparity, just real. Most women over 45 have become immune to scripted compliments. But when you say, "I wasn't planning to feel this way tonight," it hits because it's not something you prepared. It's a moment of awareness spoken out loud. This line captures that shift when a simple evening turns into something more. When conversation moves beyond the surface. When connection sneaks in without warning. It's human, it's subtle, and it disarms her in the best way. Let me show you what that looks like. Ronald, 54, works in corporate strategy. He met Valeria, 50, at a book club gathering. Nothing romantic at first. Just two curious minds talking about Camus and solitude. 3 hours later, they're still talking. She mentions how she spent 2 years off social media to regain clarity. He opens up about how the silence of divorce changed his perspective on noise and time. As they walk to the parking lot, Ronald pauses, looks at her and says, "I wasn't planning to feel this way tonight." He didn't need to explain. She understood. That line didn't try to impress. It expressed. It told her, "Something about this about you caught me off guard, and I'm not fighting it." Here's another take. Jonathan, 48, owns a chain of coffee shops. He's seen his share of first dates. But over drinks with Sandra, 46, a trauma counselor, he finds himself pulled in. Not because she's flashy, but because she listens without interrupting. She challenges gently. She speaks from somewhere deep. At the end of the night, with laughter still in the air, he says, "I wasn't planning to feel this way tonight." And she blushes not because of the words alone, but because of the tone. Grounded, warm, vulnerable, real. Stoically speaking, this phrase is a moment of internal reflection turned outward. It's recognizing that despite your plans, despite your composure, emotion still has a say. As Epictetus taught, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond. Choosing to admit you feel something without needing it to lead somewhere. That's what makes you memorable. So when the moment's right and the energy's real, say it. Not to gain her, but to mark the moment for both of you. I wasn't planning to feel this way tonight, and maybe neither was she. And there you have it. If you've made it this far, chances are you're not just here for the words, you're here to become the kind of man who speaks with presence, acts with intention, and builds real connection. That's what Stoicism is about. Not cold detachment, not playing games, but knowing who you are and letting that speak louder than anything else in the room. If you want more content like this, more insight, more tools, more real talk, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Stay grounded, stay sharp, stay you.